is walk you through what I'm thinking when I work on the citation worksheet. Obviously, it's by invitation only to view this video because I can't give you all of it ahead of time. So apologies for that, but hopefully this helps. So I'm going to start with the first one. What you see here is that on my screen I have the worksheet to my left, and then I went ahead and did a copy of it so that I can have the references right beside me, and then that way I don't have to sort of scroll back and forth. That's just helpful for you to see and me to see at the same time. So let's dive in. So in this first one we have, it is widely known that elephants fear cheese and will flee at the first whiff of it. See, for example, and it wants us to look at source F. So I'm going to go over there and see. So basically what the sentence is telling me is that it wants me to look at that resource if I want to know more about it. I don't want to do an entire article title because it's super long, but I also want to look around it and see if I use the word elephants, if that would be too similar for a reader to see when they start to look for the E's. And since there is Elephant Research Institute and then elephants, and that's the difference of like singular and plural, I'm going to go ahead and take the first two words. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to put in quotation marks because this is an article, elephants stampede. And then I'm going to do a comma, and then I want to include the year. So over here it says 2003. It says 2003, November 22nd, but those are extra details that a reference provides. For my work in text, I just want the overall concept of where to go in the reference list, which is elephant stampede. That's the first concept that's going to come up when I go to the reference page, and then I want the year. I'm not giving the location because it is the article. There isn't a specific paragraph or section. So I'm going to go down here. We have a quote, so I know it's a specific area if possible. I'm going to see what that could be. Their work constitutes part of the booming new discipline known as pachydermophromagology. I think I got it, which is defined as the study of elephant-cheese interactions. Ooh, and then we need to look at source D, which, as you can tell, I need to edit. So let's scroll over here to source D, and it's the dictionary. So for a dictionary, I'm not generally, especially online, I'm not going to have a page number. So what I will want to put in here is the title of the dictionary, and then I will want to put the year of that particular dictionary. So first things first, I need to do italics. Concise Oxford Dictionary. I'm going to change italics and type in the date, 2004. As I mentioned in another video on citations, concise is the first word, so that's going to be capitalized. Oxford is a proper name, so that is capitalized, but dictionary is just a regular word, and it's third in line, so it doesn't get anything special. Now let's go to this one. The elephant's fear cheese was an accidental discovery made by the noted elephantologist Coleman. So we want on source B to know about that. That's where we're going to learn that this happened. This is a paraphrase. So source B over here says Coleman 1984. It has some pages, but our source doesn't say specifically where, and we're paraphrasing sort of the article in question. So since it already says Coleman, I just need 1984. Because I'm already sort of in that particular thing. I've already have a note that Coleman is where it is, so that gives me the location, the reference word that I'm needing, Coleman, and it also gives me the year because there are two different works. Moving on, we have a full quote, and you'll notice that the citation is outside the end punctuation of the sentence here with gone, because the spacing of the block quotation is what tells us that's all together as one unit. So that's the one time the quotation is going to go outside. So we want source C, and we know that it is page 160. So over here we have Coleman 1988, and we also know the page. So we're going to say Coleman, comma 1988, comma page, P for page because it's 1, and then 160. And there we go. Our next one, his discovery, while dismissed at the time, was subsequently corroborated by other researchers. Several studies, so we're going to have G and H, have confirmed the phenomenon. So let's go find out what needs to go in here. We have G and H. So you'll notice that even though we have Gibson and Sturgis both times, oops, we're missing a comma right there. We have Bates added. So we're going to do both of these. That means I'm going to say Gibson, whoops, if I could type, and I'm going to use my ampersand because it is inside parentheses. And then I'm going to get the dates, 1987. I'm going to use a semicolon to denote that I'm moving on to another source. And I'm going to say Gibson, Sturgis, comma, ampersand again, and Bates, comma, to let the reader know that I'm still working within the same section, and 1989. So that gives me both of them. You'll notice that I'm using the ampersand because I'm within the parenthetical citation. In the reference and in the parenthetical citation, we need an ampersand. Once it moves into the sentence, we use and. We don't abbreviate anything. But those abbreviations are in specific places to make it easier. So now we're on to source E. A recent report by the Elephant Research Institute established that smell is the primary means elephants detect cheese. So source E, it's already by the Elephant Research Institute, which is part of the Simon Fraser University. That means we don't need that extra information about Simon Fraser. We just know that that is going to get us there, the Elephant Research Institute. That means we just need the year. And you'll notice that it's a PDF, so it may have page numbers, but this is, again, a paraphrase. So paraphrases don't always need a specific location. So we're just going to say 2001. Okay, on to this one. The creatures, they have good taste, no? He writes, source I, introduction, paragraph 2. So we're going to scroll down here. So Gouda, commentary of a report about cheese in the elephants. So this one's going to be a little bit different because it's in the introduction. It doesn't have a date. So APA 7 says that if you don't have a date, we still want to include ND, which stands for no date. So we're going to put the author's name. We're going to put ND in place of a year. So that's our date. And it's in the introduction. So we're going to write introduction section. And then we are going to put a page number, or a paragraph in this case, paragraph 2. So this lets our reader know where to go for the reference, so Gouda, no date, and then when they get to that, if they choose to look at that particular link, they will find in the introductory section, paragraph 2 will have that. Now we're on to this one. Based on several clever experiments, Moss has claimed that in fact elephants do not fear cheese at all. So source J, page 468. Notice that sometimes they're giving us these details, but we may or may not need them. So let's go see if we need that. So source J, Moss, the missing link, elephants and mice. So we don't really have a specific location here because for this type of formatting for APA, what we do is we put the author's name and then we put the date. So this one is 2003. But we would put a location afterward, and they haven't put something here. So if something were here, if there was another blank space, then we would know to put in page 468. But it's not there. There isn't that extra space. So we're going to leave it because I don't think they intended us to use that. Now we're on to sources K and L. So those are definitely here on the bottom still. You'll notice that they're the same name, but two different dates. They're both in 2004, but part 1 and 2. So let's go see. One researcher has published a series of articles roundly denouncing the moss-mouse hypothesis. So we have 2 articles. We need to put both of them in here, so we're going to go with Sturgis. But you'll notice that they are the same. Like they have the same author, they have similar years. So instead of doing comma 2004A and then doing a semicolon and repeating it all, we're just going to do another comma and say 2004B. So that really throws a wrench in our usual works because they are very similar. So you'll notice earlier we had to do 2 in a row. Let me see if I can find it again. Where we had Gibson and Sturgis, but it was another one, right? Gibson, I did not type it correctly. Gibson, Sturgis, and Bates. So when that kind of thing happens, we have to watch for those details. If it had been Gibson and Sturgis twice, but in 87 and 89, we would do the same thing we're doing now. But they added another researcher. So now's our last one. We want source A. So mine were out of order again, sorry. And it looks like it's an article. So the debate has even spilled over into the popular press. So basically we just want them to know where. We don't have a specific location. We want the reader to go look at the article. So we're going to use the name, which is Atchison, and we're going to give the date so that our reader can find it easily. And there we go. It is all tucked in. Let's see, those should be like that. So that is all of them. In general, they're following that sort of framework that I've given you, where we have the author's name, or in the sense of the Elephant Research Institute, the organization. Then we have the date, and then if we happen to have something specific that we can sort of tack a location to, we add that, but we don't always have it, so we don't always include that. But as long as we have those two elements, and even if it were no date, we would say Moss parens in period D period for no date, and that would again work. So that's my favorite go-to, is to just set it up in that format because it works for 90% of what we do. So I hope you have fun looking at all of those. Don't stress about it. Look at our other video and use those samples so that you feel confident. And as you increase in knowledge, you can move past those samples into things like this. But until then, take those samples and enjoy them.